我是阿万。这是一个上星期1周前的文章了，就是中国稀土垄断11月7日的中国稀土垄断如何影响欧洲国家军备建设。面对愈发强硬的俄罗斯和日益奉行孤立主义的美国，欧洲各国政府正在加紧重整军备，但这一行动必须克服中国关键矿产限制带来的巨大障碍。中国在稀土金属和磁体市场占据主导地位，这些材料广泛用于导弹、战斗机、无人机及各类军事装备的生产。北京已与在华盛顿和布鲁塞尔的贸易战中动用这一影响力，在关税及其他贸易壁垒中谈及收紧或放宽稀土出口管制。这一局势促使欧洲采取一系列行动。欧盟执行机构欧盟委员会主席冯德莱恩呼吁欧盟在关键矿产领域争取自主独立。与此同时，欧洲贸易官员正在紧急与中方对接，试图保障欧盟的供应稳定。周三，欧盟27国大使接到通知，中国似乎愿意协商所谓的通用许可证，以简化对欧洲的稀土出口流程，但2名了解相关讨论因涉及内部磋商而要求匿名的外交官表示，此类解决方案能否快速落地或长期维持尚无保障。欧盟正重点寻找替代供应渠道。欧盟委员会发言人奥洛夫吉尔表示，短期内谈判的目标是为欧洲产业提供更多的确定性，相关沟通仍在继续，但局势的反复让欧洲领导人清醒认识到，其军备扩张在很大程度上依赖于与中国日益不稳定的关系，一切都取决于此。欧盟安全政策智库欧盟安全研究所研究员约里斯·蒂尔说，若关键矿产供应中断，重整军备无从谈起。今年4月，特朗普总统宣布大范围增加关税后，北京迅速回应，限制全球范围内7种稀土元素及磁体的出口。上月，中国曾威胁扩大限制清单，直到特朗普与中国最高领导人习近平在上周的峰会中同意将这一升级举措延迟1年。但事业的限制技术对欧洲买家仍然有效，尽管欧盟一再强调供应多元化，但北京让布鲁塞尔陷入两难境地。欧盟约98%的关键稀土进口来自中国，依赖度甚至高于美国。美国80%的相关稀土从中国进口。尽管稀土在全球分布广泛，但开采和提炼难度极大。欧盟一直在摆脱这种依赖，并于2024年生效了一项旨在打造本土稀土产业的方案，但要取代中国的采矿和提炼产能并非易事，也无法一蹴而就。咨询公司 SFA 牛津的分析师近期在研究报告中预测，考虑到矿山开发、精炼厂建设、制造业扩张及融入北约供应链所需的时间，实现对中国稀土的完全多元化替代至少需要8至12年。但就国防工业而言，欧洲没有那么多时间。欧洲各国正在紧急大幅增加国防开支，试图在2030年前提升关键军事能力。为此，欧盟放宽了预算规则，推出一项1500亿欧元的贷款计划，以助力军事支出。无法取得关键矿产可能扰乱这一计划，改变地缘政治格局，并影响欧洲的未来。国防自主始于材料自主。布鲁塞尔自由大学国防与治国方略项目负责人丹尼尔·菲奥特说， 自去年10月起，中国稀土出口尚需向当局详细说明货物在西方供应链中的用途。这些规定让中国当局得以掌控全球企业对稀土的需求种类和数量。4月实施的出口限制导致短缺锂等用于制造耐热磁体的稀土价格飙升。稀土 F-35是战斗机、无人机、潜艇、战斧导弹、雷达系统等美欧军事技术的关键原料，也是欧洲重整军备计划中锂储备的关键物资。中国的最终目的是减缓美国的发展进程，并使欧洲也受到牵连。海牙战略研究中心分析师贝内代塔·吉拉尔迪说，若打击其中一方的安全领域，另一方也会波及。欧盟贸易主管马罗什谢夫乔维奇指出，北京开始要求稀土出口许可证以来，欧盟实体提交的2000份申请中，仅约一半得到妥善处理。尽管中国是撤销了近期加强管制的威胁，但这种广泛的震慑本身已敲响警钟。我仍感到担忧。战略与国际研究中心关键矿产项目主任格雷斯林巴什卡兰说，即便限制暂停，我们仍处于脆弱境地。他说，例如欧洲、美国及其盟友目前无法快速替代无人机发动机中的锂，在3的供应链上，全球也没有真正能替代中国的选择。3是制造先进军事装备中耐高温磁体的关键稀土。然而，即便中国稀土主导地位的风险已十分明确，欧洲仍难以将焦虑转化为实际行动。美国正迅速加大对稀土生产的投资。美国国防部已向稀土企业 NP 材料公司投资4亿美元收购股权，本月又宣布向沃尔坎元素公司和 Re-Element 技术公司提供数亿美元贷款及潜在股权。这2家公司正合作利用回收稀土制造磁体。在欧洲，稀土行业企业不确定欧盟推动本土供应链的举措，包括联合采购、资金支持和加快审批，能否及时发挥足够作用。这也是为何短期内外交手段可能是主要乃至唯一的希望。中国正试图破坏欧洲的整个重整军备计划。欧盟安全研究所蒂尔说，作为国防官员或行业从业者，是不愿意把这话挑明的。How China's rare earth chokehold could strangle Europe military build-up. European governments are racing to rear them their militaries as they face up to a more aggressive Russia and an increasingly isolationist America, but that puts must overcome a formidable roadblock in the shape of China's restriction on critical minerals. China dominates the market for rare earth metals and permanent magnets, which are used in the production of missiles, jet drones, and a vast array of military hardware. Beijing has widely this leverage in its trade wars with Washington and Brussels, tightening or loosening export control on rare earth in negotiations over tariff and other trade barriers. The drama has spurred a flurry of action in Europe, with Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, the EU's executive arm, urging the bloc to strive for its independence on the critical minerals. But in the meantime, European trade officials have been frantically engaging with their Chinese counterparts to try to secure the block supply. On Wednesday, ambassadors from across the 27 EU nations were told that China appeared to be willing to negotiate a so-called general license to streamline rare earth exports to Europe, but there was no guarantee that such a solution would come quickly or last for long. The bloc is focused on finding alternative supply options, said two diplomats briefed on the discussions who asked for anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. In the short term, the goal is in the negotiations is to provide more certainty to European industry, said Arthur Gill, a spokesman for the European Commission. Engagement continues, yet the twists and turns have made it clear to European leaders just how much their military build-up hinge on an increasingly unreliable relationship with China. Everything hangs on this, said George Thiel, a researcher at the EU Institute for Security Studies and the European Union think tank for security policy. Without a flaw or critical minerals, he says there is no rearmament. After President Trump announced sweeping tariffs in April, Beijing quickly responded by limiting the export of 7 rare earth elements and migrants for the entire world. It threatened to widen that list last month before Mr. Trump and Xi Jinping, China's top leader, agreed at a summit last week to delay that escalation by a year. But the April restrictions remain in place for European buyers and for all of the EU's talk of diversification. Beijing has Brussels in a bind. About 98% of the European Union's imports of key rare earths come from China, making it even more dependent than the United States, which imports 80% of those rare earths from China. Although rare earths are found throughout the world, they are very difficult to extract and refine. The European Union has been working to fix that dependency, and it passed an act meant to create a homegrown industry that took effort in 2024. Still, replacing China's mining and refining capacity is not quickly and easy endeavor. Analysis at the consulting firm SFA Oxford recently predicted in the research note that full diversification from China would take 8 to 12 years, given how long it takes to develop mines, construct refineries, expand manufacturing, and work into the NATO supply chain. And when it comes to defense industry, Europeans don't have that knife of time. European nations are scrambling to raise their spending on defense sharply as they try to develop key capability by 2030. To that end, the European Union has loosened baggage rules and rolled out a €150 billion loan program to help fuel military outlays. A lack of access to critical minerals could disrupt the initiative, tilt the scales of geopolitics, and shape European future. Autonomy in defense begins with autonomy in materials, said Danny Fit, the head of air defense and statecraft program at Vrije University Brussels, a university in Brussels. Since October last year, rare earth exporters in China have been required to provide the authorities with detailed explanation of how shipments would be used in Western supply chains. The rule gave Chinese authorities a bill of the kinds of the quality of rare earths that companies around the world needed. The move in April to restrict access caused shortages and sent price for rare earths like dipricing used to make heat resistance migrant skyrocketing. Rare earth minerals are key in F-35 fighter jets, drones, submarines, Tomahawk missile radar system, and other military technology that are made in either the United States or the European Union, and which Europeans have been planning to stop higher as part of its rearmament plans. The end of the games of China here is to slow down the advantages of the United States and European by connection, said Benedetta Girardi, an analyst at the Hague Center for Strategic Studies, a think tank. If it hits the security sector of one, it also hits the security sector of the others, she said. Mauro Scopi, the European Union trade chief, has noted that Beijing began requiring nations to export rare earths only about half of the 2,000 applied for the EU by EU entities have been properly addressed, even though China has rolled back its most recent threat of stricter controls. The fact that it has threatened broad restrictions could serve as a warning shot. I'm still concerned, said Gracelyn Baccarin, director of the Critical Minerals Security Program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a think tank. Even a pause in restriction leaves us precautious. She said that Europe, the United States, and other allies are not yet at a point where they can quickly replace the dysprosium in drones motors. For instance, the world also have no real alternative to China's supply of submarine, a rare earth mineral crucial for migrants that can withstand high temperatures in advanced military gear. Yet, even as the risks of the Chinese rare earth dominance become clear, Europeans is struggling to turn anxiety into action. The United States is moving fast to ramp up investment in rare earth production. The Department of Defense has bought a $400 million stake in a rare earth company called MP Materials, and this week announced hundreds of millions of dollars in loans and potential stakes in Vulcan Advanced and Advanced Technologies, which are partnering to make minerals from cycle rare earth minerals. In Europe, companies in rare earth business are not sure if Euro is pushed to encourage a local supply chain, which involves joint procurement, access to finance, and speed are permitted, will suffice in a timely manner. That is why diplomacy is likely to be the main and perhaps only hope in the short term. The Chinese are attempting to pull the rug from underneath the entire geomovement pushed in Europe, said Mr. Teo of the EU Institute for Security Studies. It's not something that, as a defense officials of an industry, you want to say out loud. Thanks for your listening. If you haven't subscribed me, please subscribe me. And wishing your life fully with happiness and joy. Bye bye.